Hello, colleagues, and welcome. So now let's talk about managing fetal papyraceus, which is maternal risk assessment and sonographic monitoring of twin demise. So sometimes when you got the twins, one can die. So this is what we are going to discuss about. We isolate the compressed, mummified remains of a demise twin to distinguish fetal papyraceus from placental masses or evolving hematomas. By tracking resistive indices in the cervical twins cerebral artery, we mitigate neurological risks. Our clinical focus remains on precise biometry and clear reporting to navigate complex maternal alloimmunization concerns. So the high stakes medical mystery: what happens when one twin vanishes during pregnancy, leaving behind a mummified remains known as fetal papyraceus? This rare clinical phenomenon presents complex challenges for both the mother and the cervical twin. So in this video, we dive deep into the essential sonographic monitoring and maternal risk assessment required to navigate this delicate situation safely. I hope you have heard about fetal papyraceus. If it's your first time, you are in the right platform at the right time. So the clinical guide and expect protocol: managing a mummified pregnancy following a single twin demise requires precision, vigilance, and an evidence-based approach. Are you prepared to identify the specific complication that can arise for the co-twin or the mother? We are breaking down the latest 2026 protocols for monitoring fetal papyraceus to ensure the best possible obstetrics outcomes. So the crucial knowledge warning: a diagnosis of fetal papyraceus is more than just a sonographic finding. It is a signal for intensive maternal surveillance. From coagulation concerns to intrauterine growth restriction, the risks are significant and require immediate attention. Learn how to master the sonographic markers and the risk assessment tools that every healthcare provider needs to manage this rare condition effectively. So managing fetal papyraceus, maternal risk assessment, and sonographic monitoring fetal demise. Our objectives in this presentation are as follows. By the end of the session, you should be able to define fetal papyraceus, explain the causes and the pathophysiology, identify maternal and fetal risks, recognize sonographic features, differentiate fetal papyraceus from fetal, mummified, and missed abortion, develop an ultrasound monitoring protocol, and understand obstetric management principles. So, what is fetal papyraceus? So fetal papyraceus refers to the flattened, parchment-like remains of a deceased fetus that is being compressed between the uterine wall and surviving fetus following early fetal trimester, early second trimester demise. So fetal papyraceus now it happens in the second trimester. That's where it happens. It is different from your vanishing twin syndrome, the one that you normally see in the first trimester. So early second trimester fetal demise in a multiple pregnancy, it develops when one twin dies, amniotic fluid around the dead fetus is resorbed, the fetus becomes dehydrated, compressed by the growing surviving twin, and uterus produces a thin, flattened appearance. So this is different from a lithopedon, the one that I spoke about earlier in the previous presentation. We were talking about a lithopedon is a mummified dead fetus that can present for years. It becomes the rock fetus, turns into a rock. So the definition: a fetus that dies after skeletal ossification, usually after 14 weeks, remains in utero for at least 10 weeks, becomes flattened due to mechanical compression. Incidence occurs in approximately 1 in 20,000 pregnancies, seen in 1 in 180 to 200 twin pregnancies, more common in monochorionic twins, assisted reproductive pregnancies, and higher order pregnancies. So the pathophysiology of fetal papyraceus: the sequence: twin demise, a loss of circulation, amniotic fluid resorption, dehydration, shrinkage, compression, flattened parchment fetus. So why is monochorionic twin more dangerous? Because both twins share placental blood vessels. After one twin dies, acute hypotension, blood shunting, thromboembolic material, ischemic injury can occur in the surviving twin. The causes, placental causes, twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, TTTS, placental insufficiency, cold accidents, and developmental insertion. So now the fetal causes, congenital anomalies, chromosomal abnormalities, severe growth restriction, high-loss fetalis. The maternal causes are hypertension, diabetes, thrombophilia, trauma, infection. So the maternal risk, although uncommon, maternal complications may include disseminated intravascular coagulation, which is rare, infection, the preterm labor, polyhydramnios, and psychological distress. So those are the maternal risks. The risk of DIC risk is significantly lower than in singleton retained fetal demise. However, monitor platelets, PT, AP, TT, NR, fibrinogen, especially if demise is prolonged. Risk to the surviving twin, highest in monochorionic twins. Complications include cerebral palsy, stroke, porencephaly, multicystic encephalomalacia, renal infarction, intestinal atresia, limb ischemia, and death. Why brain injury occurs after the fetal demise? Sharpened placental vessels, shed placental vessels, rapid blood loss, hypotension, brain ischemia, the permanent neurological injury. So this is why the brain injury now occurs on the surviving fetus. Okay, so the sonographic appearance now, that's where it matters for you guys. Typical findings include flattened fetus. You can see the flattened fetus like that. No cardiac activity, collapsed thorax, overlapping skull bones, reduced amniotic fluid, thin membrane around the fetus, compression against uterine wall. So ultrasound diagnosis, confirmed twin pregnancy, one viable fetus, one demise fetus, no cardiac motion, severe compression, ossified skeleton. Color Doppler findings, no fetal blood flow, no umbilical artery flow, no cardiac perfusion, normal circulation in surviving twin. So assess the placenta, evaluate the chorionicity, the placenta insertion, cord insertion, membrane thickness, placenta infarction, hematoma. For maternal ultrasound assessment, monitor cervical length, the placenta, lack of volume, fetal growth, the uterine activity. Surviving twin assessment, perform biometry, growth, amniotic fluid, umbilical artery Doppler, MCA Doppler, ductus venosus, BPP, NST test. So neurosonography. So this is, you can see this porencephaly there in the surviving and twin there, as you can see there, and you can see here. We do have got an area that is ischemic that is starting to set in there. So carefully evaluate ventricles, the corpus callosum, the cerebellum, the posterior fossa, the intracranial hemorrhage, porencephaly, and ventriculomegaly. So we are talking about the surviving twin. You must evaluate for ventricles, corpus callosum, cerebellum, the posterior fossa, intracranial hemorrhage, porencephaly, and ventriculomegaly. So you have to do routine tests for this surviving fetus to see if there are no complications in the brain. So MRI, fetal MRI may be recommended 2 to 3 weeks after the demise to detect ischemic brain injury not visible on ultrasound. Ultrasound follow-up schedule immediately after diagnosis, complete anomaly scan, Doppler, the growth, every 2 weeks growth, Dopplers, AFI, PPP, every 4 weeks neurosonography, MRI around 2 to 3 weeks after demise if indicated. So the laboratory monitoring: maternal investigation, CBC, coagulation profile, fibrinogen, blood pressure, urine protein. Delivery timing depends upon chorionicity, maternal condition, fetal well-being, general principles, dichorionic, corneal pregnancy if stable, monochorionic close surveillance, delivery often considered around 34 to 37 weeks depending on the complications. So the differential diagnosis: condition, fetal papyraceus, that's a fetal flattened fetus. Then the missed abortion is a small intact fetus. Fetal mummification, which is shrunken but not flattened. Vanishing twin, gestational sac disappears. Skeletal dysplasias, leaving abnormal fetus. So the prognosis: mother excellent in most cases. Surviving twin depends upon chorionicity, gestational age, demise, time before delivery, neurological injury. Dichorionic twins generally have a much better prognosis than monochorionic twins. So the ultrasound checklist when you are doing a pregnancy with one of the fetal demise: confirm fetal demise, determine chorionicity, assess surviving twin anatomy, perform Doppler studies, evaluate fetal growth, assess amniotic fluid, examine placenta and cord incisions, perform serial neurosonography, recommend fetal MRI when appropriate, monitor maternal coagulation if clinically indicated. So now the clinical POs, your take homes: chorionicity is the most important factor of outcome. So if you can't decide the chorionicity, it becomes a challenge. Monochorionic twins require intensive surveillance because shared placenta vessels increase the risk of neurological injury in the surviving twin. So if you can't determine the chorionicity now, it becomes a big challenge. Most maternal complications are uncommon, but clinical and laboratory monitoring remain important. Serial ultrasound with the Doppler assessment is the cornerstone of ongoing management. Fetal MRI can detect brain injury that may not yet be visible on ultrasound, improving counseling and delivery planning. So, ladies and gentlemen, this takes us to the end of this very rich presentation. I hope you have taken notes. I don't take this lightly. This is very serious ultrasound. This is not the usual ultrasound that you already do, but you must be in a position to detect or to make a diagnosis of fetal papyraceus and not miss it, so that we save the mother, we save the surviving fetus. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to share, like. If you have any questions, please feel free under the comment sections. I will take your questions and respond in due course. Let's meet again in the next presentation. Bye.